Dear friends and followers, welcome back to our channel. This is Cloud Computing Solutions.
Okay, first, what you need to realize about Excel is like Excel is all about cells, okay? And what makes these cells is actually these boxes you're seeing on your screen. Box this, box this, box that, box that, box that, and all the boxes you're seeing. Secondly, uh, there are also letters which runs on top of your cells or the boxes in this case. You can see there is A, B, C, D, E. These boxes are very many. They can go up to Z, again come back to A, B, B, C, C. If you can look at this, there's A, B, A, C, A, D, and then again as you continue, you reach the end, and then you get to B, A. You see this one? B, A, B, 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 C, just like that. And then on the left hand side, we also have numbers from 1, 2, 3 to infinity. I think those numbers goes up to around 67,000, no, 670,000, around there. There are very many. However, the most important thing you need to realize here is that these cells have names. All these boxes you're seeing that makes Excel has names. And how do you get the name? The name is always up here. For example, this box I've clicked is called H12. So H12 is the name of these cells. However, how do we find the names of the cells? It's a simple logic. It's actually row, which is the letters, and then the column, which is on your left hand side. So you always look at what is up on top in terms of letters, and then you go down to the joiner, you see what is on the left hand side, which is a 12. So this makes this cell H12. And then if I click another one like this one is going to be C4. So in Excel, we use these cell names to do a little bit of calculations because a figure may be too big. For example, let's say we're writing a figure which is 1 trillion. 1 trillion is about, I think, 12 zeros. So if I say 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or even 1, 2, 3. So you can clearly see that as soon as I press enter on the keyboard, they're bringing for us that item. So even if we expand this, because you can expand this using that cross cursor, and then when you click hold your mouse and then you move your mouse towards the right, you'll see that you have space, enough space which can accommodate those figures. The more we go, we should have these letters the way they are written. So if it fails to come, you come right up here and change it to numbers and it will show up. So the more you reduce it, it keeps changing the lettering. But we are looking at this item when the letter is fully displayed. If you're to calculate, if you're to make calculations for this item, it's going to be very hard to put there the entire figures. So we substitute these figures with the cell name. For example, instead of using all those figures, the 10000 we can use C4. So C4 is going to represent the entire figures we have put there. Okay. Now at home, if you can look at my screen right now, we have home, we have cut, copy paste. This is the same as you used your Microsoft Word. Under Word, all these items are there, and then we also have this item, which is the font styles, and then the bold, italic, and underline, and then the size of the text. You can increase or reduce. This still stands to be the same, the fill color or the shader, and then the text color or the font color of the text. And then we also have these alignments, which is the left alignment, the center alignment, and the right alignment. However, we have additional alignment settings over here. So how do we use these three additional alignments? These three additional alignments are used in such a way. Let me extend this down like that. So if I type, for example, Entebbe, and I press enter, so I can realign this the way this is selected, or I can align it upwards or in the center. Okay, so the three additional alignments operates like that. These ones are normal, the way you use them in Microsoft Word, so there is no difference there. However, these ones changes either you're aligning it from the top, middle, or bottom. Okay. So we can use this cross cursor to reduce the space if it is too big, or increase if it is too small. The same applies to this side. If what you're entering here is too large to be accommodated by what we have within the cell, we can either reduce it or increase it, depending on what you have. That's one. And if you remember, in Microsoft Word, we didn't discuss much about this because I promised to show it to you in Excel. And in Excel, this is the way we use this bordering. I can put here, for example, 4, press enter, 5, and press enter 6, press enter 1. And then I come here, 12, press enter 6, press enter 19, press enter 06, press enter. And then I can also come here, put the 6 and 9, press enter 6, press enter 3, press enter 2. And lastly, I can come here and use 8 and 5 and 2 and 0 and press enter. Now, if you look at these items, and if I go to print out file and then select to print, if I come here, the preview is going to show me that my items are not in a box. Yet when you're trying to type them from the other side, they are inside a box. So how do you put those boxes? How do you put those bordering? That's where this border icon or the border tool comes into play. So you highlight those areas and then come to borders and then select all borders. So when you select all borders, you'll now see that all these items are having borders at the sides. So if I come to file and try to print out, you'll now see that my items are in a border. So that's the purpose, or that's the function of this tool that we didn't look into Microsoft Word. Now, this is the indent. I explained what this indent means in the previous lesson of Microsoft Word. And then we also have this item. This item is the angle of text. You can have your text as a header. For example, here, if I'm to type Uganda and I press enter, I can come back and click or select Uganda, and then I change the angle of the text. So I can choose that angle, and if I increase the size, you can now see that the angle is changing based on what I select from this area. I can do that. I can also do that. I can also change it to that, or I can also change it to that. And finally, I can also format it based on what I want. If the angle is too much, I can reduce it like that and click OK. And it will change exactly the way I want. Okay, so let me take it back. Let me delete this. If I don't need this column, this row, I can just right click from where 1 is and come straight to delete, and it will go off. The challenge is, if you delete, don't expect the 1 to go away and remain with 2. No. The cells you're dealing with on that column is only going to get rid of the content in that row. But the number 1 is going to remain. Why? It is standard. It's like when we delete this column of C, we are not going to remove entire C. No. We are just going to get rid of the items under C, but the C is going to remain. Okay? Yep. So, I also want to look at this area, which is the wrap text. What is the importance of wrap text? Wrap text operate in situations whereby you want more than one row of a text. For example, we can say let's say you're writing names of 2 people. My name is Benedict Nike, and I can decide to write it like that. However, if I press enter, you can see that it is crossing to a new line. So we can increase this to accommodate that. But if we look at a very long name, for example, let me use Arnold and Schwarzenegger. Hope that is a spelling. So if I press enter, you can see it is crossing to a new line. But I don't want it to cross to a new line, and I want 2 lines. I want the first name to go on top and the next line to go on the next or on the lower line. So I'm going to click on that area and then come to wrap text, activate wrap text. So I can now expand this so that I can have 2 lines. So you can see the distance between 1 and 2, or there is a difference between the A1 cell and A2 cell. The most important thing is the Arnold is up and the Schwarzenegger is down. So at this point, I can select to center line, and I'll have, a smart alignment. So this doesn't matter if you're doing 2 names. For example, maybe even your name, space, and then press enter. So here, if I reduce this and click wrap text, click on this name and then come up here and activate wrap text, which I'll have it that way, and then click center. Okay, so the same applies to this wrap text, and then reduce this width and click center. Yeah, so this entire area, you can actually highlight it at a go and then activate or deactivate the wrap text. It doesn't matter. Right, so there's also this one, which is to merge and then center. So if I merge and center, it's just doing the entire work at a go. It's doing the entire job at a go. To merge, to create this spacing and then to also put it in center. For example, it can be this side and use this. It's just bringing that and then you keep that. So that's the only biggest thing it's going to do. So you can either merge this at a go. So you can merge cells, only keeps the upper left value and discard other values. So if you click OK, that simply means they are going to remove Benedict Nike, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and only remain with this. This is what I mean. So they only leave one name. The rest will go away. That helps when you're trying to save time or you're drawing a table which is having one heading but a lot of items down. So at this particular point, you can highlight areas for whom you want the cells and activate the cells. Just that. And you're good to go. And then we have this area which is for the type of text you're going to enter in your work. You can click on this and then activate, for example, general text or numbers or currency or accounting or short date, long date, time, percentage, etc. When do you need this, or why would you do that? First, it depends on the type of data you're entering in the computer. For example, it may be a banking account or even maybe an accounting, a financial circle, whereby you're supposed to enter figures in terms of currency or in terms of money. So that simply means you're either going to use accountings or currency. Why? If you choose here and say, I'm going to use currency, that means you'll be able to even select the kind of currency you're going to use. Here, we are using Uganda shillings, so you can simply see it has already labeled it as Uganda shillings 12. If you're using dollars, you come straight here, select accounting, and come to this small arrow here and use the English United States. And you can now see down here, it has changed. Even if it is any other country, maybe euros, Chinese, you can still change it. Other countries are found here where there is more accounting formats. So if you click here, you'll be able to see other countries down here and select the country you want. Their symbol will have to show up and then click OK. And it will show up right there. So it's all about selecting the entire items in the cell, change the text type, if it is currency or accounting, and select the type of money you want. Maybe more, and come to these symbols and select what you want and click OK. Immediately they will show up in your table. Okay, so we also have very many types of items here. At the moment you change this, you highlight this area and then select the type of text you want to enter there. It will have to change immediately. You see that? That's for the dates. Or I can decide to go in percentages and they'll change the percentages immediately. Or I can decide to go with, just plain numbers and they'll give me numbers. Or the general text, where some people say is, for example, 8 pieces. So you have to click on the 8 and then put the pieces up this side and press enter. Or 5 pieces and press enter. And that's how it works. So we also have these ones, the commas. The commas, you can decide to use how many commas or whether to use commas or no commas. For example, I can say here I want 12,000 and 16,000, 25,000, 6,000, or even maybe 9,000 and 4,000 and 2,000. So I can decide to highlight all of these and say I use a comma style. So with a comma style, for every 3 digits, you're going to have a comma after that. So after activating a comma style, they will show up. And there's also this decimals. where you're either going to increase the decimals or reduce the decimals. So let me expand this shortly. And increase decimals. The more decimals you have is the more zeros you're going to have after the final text. And I can reduce this or increase. It's just that. So we also have these ones. These are simply, formats. You can format this conditionally. For example, if I highlight this, I can come down here and decide to activate these items. I'll further show you how this works in the next lesson, but for now, I think if I select this, you can see what happens. So it's simply, it can act as a separator or a highlighter, depending on the kind of work you're doing. In the next lessons to come, we shall do some calculations, and this will help us a lot to separate and to highlight our answers depending on what we are looking for. The same applies to this. You can also use this to separate or to design your work accordingly. For example, that we have column 1, 2, 3, and the rest, and you can clearly see we are separating between the upper line, the second line, and the rest. So this is so important if you're doing I simply highlighted the table, and after highlighting the table, I selected any of these colors here. Yes, so it's all about selecting the color, and then here you click OK, and it will show up that way. So you can keep changing them any color you want. You can play around with them based on your choice. Yeah, after you come back to home and continue with that. So if you don't want that, you can still highlight and either insert more or even delete everything, or you further format the cells. So we have this auto summation. I don't want to show you this for now. I want you to first learn the manual calculations, and then later, when we're done with manual calculations, we can go for auto summation. Auto summation, in other words, is auto calculations. We can do calculations automatically, but I don't recommend that for the start as a starting student. So we shall look at that when we get to when we are done with that. Okay, so this tool can fill out the area where you're working from. We can get rid of this that way. And then also we can type something and then highlight it and then click clear. And we can be cleared by that. So in brief, this is the startup of Excel. And later we shall also look at this, how to do a pivot table, how to come up with all these items, mainly the charts, the pie chart, the pivot chart, the line graphs, etc., etc.
So if there is anything you want to tell us, you can log onto our website or even in the comment section below. We shall put all the links in the comment section below on how to find us. Please subscribe, like, share, or even connect to us. Thank you.